Matt Sabados here with you on the Black and Gold Report. Thank you for joining us on the UNCP Sports Network. Final time we're going to get to meet in 2017 before we take our mid-season break for the winter holiday. We've still got a decent amount to get to here in this edition. We've got a little bit of a highlight video coming your way at the very end of the show, recapping this full semester of Braves athletics. We'll talk a little wrestling, and we've got head coach of the women's basketball team, John Haskins, in studio as well. But first things first, we've still got a little bit of basketball to talk about. Lady Braves hit the road and took on the number 6 team in the country, the Wingate Bulldogs.
Braves looking to go 3-0 on the young season for the first time since 2005, but it wasn't going to come easy against the number 6 team in the country, the Wingate Bulldogs. Braves were outscored 13-7 to start the contest, including the first 6 off the hands of the Bulldogs, but the Braves put up 10 straight and went into the second quarter with a 21-18 lead. Braves hit the ground running in the second quarter. A 6-0 run helped out by Casey Drayton and Aaliyah Farmer to set their largest lead of the afternoon at 9, but Wingate responded with 14 to the next 16 points to retake the lead. The Braves were able to bounce back, though, go into half with a 34-32 lead. Third quarter, though, sank the Braves for the rest of the contest. It took nearly 4 minutes before the Braves put a point on the board, in which Wingate scored 11 straight to take the lead for the rest of the game. 56-43 was their largest lead of the evening at the end of the third. Braves brought it back a little bit in the fourth quarter thanks to Aaliyah Farmer and her team leading 13 points, but the Braves just were not able to close it out. Wingate scored the final 6 points of the contest and walked away with the 73-56 victory.
Braves hit the road for the start of the conference season at 1:30 today. Young Harris, Georgia is the site. Trevor Williams will be on the call on the UNCP Sports Network. Be sure to catch it. And be sure to catch head coach John Haskins when he joins us in studio in just a few minutes. Turning our attention now, the men's side of things. They had a contest against Mount Olive before the start of their conference season.
Braves were looking to keep the good times rolling following their big victory over Barton College, and the Bulldogs, in the number 22 team in the nation, canned 33 of 44 from the free throw line. The Whistles were heavily in their favor in this contest against Mount Olive and the Trojans. 9th straight home win for the Braves as they finished the contest 90-72. Akia Pruitt with a double-double. Brandon Watts had one as well, alongside Nigel Grant. Pruitt the leading scorer with 20 points as the Braves increased to 4-1 on the season. They've got a lot to be excited about in the coming days.
The men will follow up the women on the road again at Young Harris, and again with Trevor Williams on the call for the start of the Peach Belt Conference season, so be sure to catch it on the UNCP Sports Network. Coming up, we've got the head coach of the women's team, John Haskins, here in studio. We'll talk to him about the first 3 contests of the year and what this upcoming game against Young Harris has in store. So stick around. We've got more coming up on this final episode of the Black and Gold Report here on the UNCP Sports Network. Back in on the Black and Gold Report for the final time this season, Matt Sabados here with you. I thank you for taking the time out of your Saturday to join us, and I thank in person head coach of the women's team, John Haskins. Coach, first off, first few games of the season out of the way, 2-1 following the loss to Wingate. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Coach Ben Miller about his squad. Through these first 3 at this point in the season, do you feel as though the expectations of your team have been met, have not been met, have exceeded? What are you feeling?
Well, I think we're a work in progress. You know, we've trying to incorporate 8 new players in our program, and 6 of those kids have played a significant amount for us. So I think we're a work in progress. You know, I think we played well at times, including the Wingate game. I thought, you know, with the exception of 3 minutes in the second quarter, we played well in the first half against Wingate. So we've had stretches where we've played really well, and we've had stretches where we haven't played well. So I think we need to continue to improve in a number of different areas.
So you think it's more just on the line of going full tilt for the full 40 minutes of the contest? That might be one of the most touched on spaces.
Yeah, I think consistency over 40 minutes. If for some reason we've struggled a little bit in the third quarter, we lost a halftime lead and got down against Fayetteville State. We lost a halftime lead and got down against Mount Olive at home, and then we lost a halftime lead and got down significantly against Wingate. So the third quarter, for whatever reason, has not been very good. In the Fayetteville State and the Mount Olive game, we played very well in the fourth quarter. Played okay against Wingate in the fourth quarter. So I think just consistency over 40 minutes is one area we need to improve on.
You mentioned the 6 new girls on the squad that have played significant minutes. 3 I want to highlight that have been garnering the starts, or Casey Drayton, T. Graham, Alicia Hardy. It's just incredible how they all found this team, just considering how they're all specialists in their own outright sense. Drayton, a great post player, while Graham can really run the floor well, and Hardy's just versatile in what seems to be all aspects of the floor. Just talk to me about how all three of them work together on the starting five position.
Well, first of all, they're really good kids, and they all play hard, and I think that those are important aspects. And the second thing is they're really kids that are very intelligent kids and caught on quickly to what we're doing. You know, that makes a difference when you transfer in and you're running new plays and you're running a new system and you're doing things different defensively. And so I think those three kids have caught on very well. They're very they're team first players, and I think they've all made a significant contribution to our team thus far.
Well, of course, Drayton's already seen how you guys run your program a little bit, being the Armstrong State transfer. How do you think that transpires, her being a Peach Belt Conference player and joining a new Peach Belt Conference team?
I think that helps as a level of being comfortable in terms of the competition, the gyms. She's played in all the gyms and those type of things. You know, the biggest thing I'll say about Casey is just she needs to be a little bit more aggressive offensively, and not just shooting the three. She needs to attack a little bit more, post up a little harder. And so we'd like to get her a little bit more involved in the offense outside of shooting the three, which she can do. So she's got a familiarity with the league, and that's been a plus. Obviously, Alicia Hardy, coming from Division I, is played at a high level and played against good competition, and she is very versatile for us, can do a lot of different things. She has scored for us, which has been nice, but I mean, she's probably our best perimeter defender. She handles the ball. And then T just kind of runs the show. I know that she had a little bit of struggles yesterday in the second half, but has done a good job of setting us up and getting an offense around the show.
And tell me about the post position in general. Of course, you've got Drayton, but then you've also got girls like Sabados Love and Brandy Robinson that put together some decent minutes in the Wingate game, but Love had to get taken out fairly quickly, garnering 2 fouls early in the first quarter. What are you seeing just overall from that post position?
Well, so we've got to get better at our 5 position, I think, in terms of productivity, in terms of scoring and rebounding. I do think Sabados come a long way. It will continue to get better. You know, she got those 2 quick fouls in the Wingate game, and we couldn't play her much in the first half. But she's strong. She's a physical presence. She's very athletic, can run the floor. She's getting better and better in practice and being more of a presence in the post. So that's good. Brandy is a skilled player. You know, probably not a, you know, we were at a mismatch with pretty much anybody we put in against Masenko in the Wingate game because of her size. But Brandy's a skilled post player who can score. So I think those girls will continue to improve, and I think we need to get more productivity out of the 5 position.
Now, you mentioned the rebounding. Let's key on that just a little bit. You've used the term lanky to describe your team a few times, and it's obviously shown in the first 120 minutes of the season in these first 3 games. They're really hauling in the boards at a pretty great clip, nearly out-rebounded Wingate for the first time in the past 4 years. It was, I think, only a margin of 3 in favor of the home team. How do you feel the progression has been going for your team off the glass?
I think we need to continue to get better defensive rebound in terms of boxing out, putting a body on people, and not giving people second chance opportunities. On the flip side of that, I think this is probably one of the better offensive rebounding teams I've had. You know, Nyla Allen can fly around and go get it. Obviously, Aaliyah Farmer really gets to the offensive glass, you know, with Casey's length, Brandy's length. Sadasia's a decent offensive rebounder. Melanie Horn from the wing with her size and length can offensive rebound. Alicia Hardy offensive rebound. So, you know, I think we're probably lengthwise, we're probably one of the better offensive rebounding teams we've had, but we've got to get better on the defensive glass because we're not the biggest, strongest team. So we've really got to be physical and put a body on somebody and then go get it.
On the offensive side of things, do you think it's something more on your coaching staff's ability to coach up these players, or do you think it's just some of the raw talent that you've been able to collect and have as a team bringing to the court in these contests?
No, I think it's ability. I mean, you know, we used to, when I was on the men's side, I used to tell my assistant all the time, if we spend as much time recruiting rebounders as we did working on box out drills, we'd be a better rebounding team. I think rebounding is an instinct. It's something that comes natural, and it's a desire too. And I do think it is something you emphasize. I look at our men's program. Obviously, that's something they emphasize, and they're very good at offensive rebounding. But on the flip side, they've got long, athletic, strong, tall go get it kids, when you look at their team, wherever across the board on their front line. So I think, you've got to have that ability first.
Talking about the men's team and watching the men's team, you're going to do that for the first time on the road in what's going to be just a couple of hours from the air date of this show, the first conference game of the season, the doubleheader against Young Harris and the Mountain Lions on the road. What are your overall just thoughts going into the start of the conference season?
For our team?
Yeah.
I think we're in a good position. I think, again, we've got to improve. And the season is a marathon. We've lost a game. It's not time to panic. And, we've got to get better. And we understand that. We lost to a very good team on their home floor. And I think they were ranked at that time 6th in the nation. And so we've got to continue to get better. We've got to continue to execute. We see some areas that we need to get better at. We need to be more poised against the press and attack presses better. I think we've done a very good job of that in practice. And since the first scrimmage, we've gotten better at that. But for whatever reason, we didn't do a great job in the second half at Wingate. So that's an area, offensive execution, like I say, getting more in the paint, I think, in terms of posting up and getting more in the paint. I think we need to get more in transition. I don't think we get enough transition baskets. I think we've got a team that can do that, but I don't think we get enough transition baskets. So there's a lot of areas of improvement. I think we've got to get better defensively in terms of our fouling and helping each other, being in gaps for each other. We don't get out in the passing lanes. We play the pack defense, so we've got to stop dribble penetration. And we've also got to help our post, because our posts in some games are going to be undersized or under strength. And so we've got to do a good job from the perimeter helping our post.
And something that isn't always touched on in a lot of senses, but something that will most likely become relevant over the next few, is that the Wingate game was only the first of a 4-game road trip for your team. They're going to be spending a lot of time away from Lumbee Guarantee Bank Court. Not always is that a big factor in the adversity a team can face, but it could be when you're away from home in such a long stretch. How do you feel your team is going to do in that?
Well, first of all, we were not a very good road team last year, and that's one area that we've tried to emphasize, is that we will be a better road team this year. For whatever reason, I think we were 11-2 at home, and so we only won 4 on the road last year. So I think if you're going to get in the conversation of one of the better teams in the league, you've got to be able to win road games. So that's an area of focus. We want to take the same energy, the same execution, the same concentration on the road that we have at home in the Jones Center. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to going down to Young Harris. It's a gym that we've played fairly well in the past. I've just got a brief look at their team so far, but they're long, they're athletic, they shoot the basketball, so it'll be a good test for us.
All right, Coach. Well, as always, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. Have a great contest when the Peach Belt Conference season comes knocking.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
John Haskins here on the Black and Gold Report. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we've got a little wrestling coming your way. Stick around here on the UNCP Sports Network. Segment 3 of the Black and Gold Report underway, and as always, thank you for taking the time out of your Saturday to join us on the UNCP Sports Network. And I thank in person head coach of the wrestling team, O.T. Johnson. Coach, how are you doing today? It's great to have you in studio for the first time.
Doing awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
Your season's already a few matches underway. Just tell me, in your words, who are some of the key standouts? Because you've got a large roster, but you've got some key guys who are really filling the gap that Blaze Shade had to step aside from, obviously. But who are the key standouts on your squad this season so far?
Well, we have a returner, Brandon Sloop, who, as you said, is filling that gap for Blaze Shade. Brandon has done a good job thus far. He did really well. He was 4-2 at the Virginia Tech Open, I believe. Didn't place there, but still did an awesome job there. And then he, a week later, came back to our tournament and won the tournament, beating an opponent that he lost to the previous week. So he's definitely making some strides in his development as an athlete. He's a redshirt sophomore. Last year he was at 165 just to get an opportunity to be in the varsity lineup. So he's really taking advantage of the opportunity. Another guy who's taking advantage of his opportunity in the absence of a national qualifier is Ferris Tia, who moved up to 184, and he also has done a good job. He lost to a Division I guy in our tournament that was in our tournament finals. That, again, we feel really good about what those two guys are doing thus far in replacing our two lone national qualifiers from last year. But we do have some younger guys In the lower weights, Nick Daggett, who's a 25-pounder, high school All-American, that's we felt good about when we recruited him, and he's done a great job as well in the young season. And some other young guys to name would be Ethan Nasco, who's also a freshman, came in, made a splash. He's going to be competing very hard for that starting job here in the next couple of weeks to come. And then we have Tyler McCosey, who's a sophomore, and obviously Eric Milk, who's our returning captain and senior on the team, that's done a really good job as far as guys that we are feeling really good about. And then there are some other guys who still have some gains to make, but also taking a little bit of the time and not rushing the process.
Well, what about Sammy? He had the runner-up finish at the Georgia Open just a couple of weeks ago. What have you seen from him?
Well, Sammy definitely did a great job rebounding from the previous week at our tournament, Pembroke Classic. In most cases, guys would kind of fold and kind of feel sorry for themselves, but Sammy definitely did what any competitor that is not used to losing or doesn't like to lose would do. He took the next opportunity to go out there and compete, going out to Emmanuel and taking advantage of an opportunity to get some mat time and kind of get rid of some of those blemishes that he had on his record. With a few adjustments, I think he could have definitely won that tournament, and that's going to come from us, watching the video and helping make those adjustments that he needs to make to continue on the climb that he needs to be. So at the end of the year, he can be a guy that can, again, be vying for a national tournament berth.
Now, some D1 competition, D1 experience just passed as you guys hit the road and took on NC State in their tournament. What did your team take most from that D1 competition, you think?
Well, one of the biggest things I think we got out of it as a staff was our guys, their fault. We've been going to this event for 5 years now, and I think for the first year, even with a younger squad, our guys didn't wrestle the singlet. They wrestled the guy in front of them, and obviously to realize that those guys put their shoes on the same way they put their shoes on. So our guys went out there and fought, and the score may not be indicative of the fight and effort our guys put out there, but. When we left, we really felt good about how our guys competed against both NC State Division I and Utah Valley. We went out there and just really laid on the line so we can go back and kind of fix a few things. And I think it's going to pay dividends as we get ready to step on the line this weekend against St. Cloud, who's currently ranked #1 in the country, Division II.
Now, less on the team, more on you. Your 10th season with the team in some capacity. Your 5th as a head coach. How do you feel? Just in overarching terms, the program has grown now that you've been able to see a full class, freshman to senior, through?
Try to take it 1 year at a time. Obviously, not to throw shade on anyone, but we are dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-olds that can change their minds at any time.
Yeah.
So you hope that the guys come in each year with the idea that they're going to start the year and finish it out on the team, and after that we evaluate, have the end of year meeting, and go from there. And then going into next year, you can't take anything for granted. You can't depend on a guy because he was good last year. You got to hope that he gives everything he can that year. Yeah. But as a coach, I evaluate myself, evaluate my staff, and hope that I'm still energetic and still enjoy what I'm doing, and try to go into each season with a clean slate and to look to get better as a person. And hopefully I'm doing well by the department, doing well by my kids, and doing well by myself. And whenever the time comes where I don't feel like I have the fire burning, it's time to either find a new gig or just get out completely. I think is a disservice to not only the department but to the athletes to not be all in.
Well, from an outward standpoint, it definitely seems like you got that fire burning with the personality you bring to the table sometimes in your meets, Coach. But appreciate the time you take out of your day to join us for this one. Hopefully we can get the chance to talk sometimes in 2018.
Thank you.
Head coach of the wrestling team, O.T. Johnson, will step aside when we come back. We're going to wrap up the year that was in Braves athletics. Keep it here on the UNCP Sports Network. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Black and Gold Report. But before we say goodbye for the holiday break and for 2017 in general, we're going to take a look back at the fall semester that was in Braves athletics. Here's a look at what you might have missed. Hopefully 2018 has a lot more fun in store. That's going to do it for us here on the UNCP Sports Network. For our phenomenal crew at the Old Main studio, for head coach of the wrestling team, Othello Johnson, for head coach of the women's basketball team, John Haskins, for Trevor Williams, my producer for this show, and of course, as always, for you. I hope you have a great holiday season, and we look forward to talking to you next year. This has been Matt Sabados here on the Black and Gold Report on the UNCP Sports Network.